Okay, guys, time is now 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order for April 13th, 2023, and turn things over to Commissioner Breen to lead us in invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet here tonight. We're excited to honor our clerks here who do a wonderful job for the town. We were thankful for a great Easter, and we're happy about this warmer weather that we're having, and we're looking forward to exciting events throughout the springtime and summer for our town. Please be with us as we do the town's business. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Joe, if you had waited about 15 more seconds, I mean, literally, it took about 5 minutes for 7 o'clock to roll around. 6:59 lasted forever. So next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve? Move to approve.
Sorry.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda is approved, and we'll move along into item 3, which is proclamation for Professional Municipal Clerk Week. As you heard me jokingly a little bit earlier on, you're going to hear whereas quite a bit, so please do not get bored and fall asleep on me. But the proclamation reads as Professional Municipal Clerk Week, April 30th through May 6, 2023. Whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the many other related duties of the office of the professional municipal clerk, to include preparing financial reports, issuing permits, licenses, budgeting, attesting as a notary public, handling human resources issues, and promoting the town and its events. Now be it resolved, I, Fonzie Allen Flowers, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Youngsville, do recognize the week of April 30th through May 6, 2023 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to all professional municipal clerks and deputy clerks, in particular to our professional municipal clerk, Emily Hurd, who on February 22nd, 2023 achieved the Distinguished International Institute of Municipal Clerks Certified Municipal Clerk designation. I greatly extend appreciation for the vital services she performs and her exemplary passion, dedication to the town of Youngsville for the past 20 years as of March 17th, 2023. In witness hereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause a seal of the town of Youngsville to be affixed this 13th day of April, 2023. Probably gonna be do you first, or do Emily first, or have?
You could do me first.
Let's just get in line.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you.
Awesome. And after I do this, if y'all want to grab some pictures real quick, feel free to do so. All right, Emily, congratulations. Very well done. You'll let you take a look at that first.
They've been having it all day.
Pretty snappy. Well, it was sitting over here and I want somebody to kick it over and. It's not sound
Thank
stage.
you. That was like I could just barely see Bobby.
This way.
It's right. So I give a look at the back.
Understood. If y'all want to get some pictures real quick, if y'all get some pictures real quick,
The two of us get together?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why you like that side seat. You can scoot out. Yeah, me and Scott are like leaning in to get out of the picture. Get out.
No, to get behind, we're not.
Yeah, because you're like,
Russ said, he was, but we got, clearly you're at your meeting, Pat, you're looking fly.
yeah, because there's like other times where like they're doing something, you're like, okay, let me get set up where I need to be for the next day.
Get the family to come forward. That was for Emily.
You don't know we were trying to be.
Oh. I'll get it to her, no, I bring it to her.
And Emily, don't you worry, I'm not gonna put rabbit ears behind you, don't worry.
Okay. All right. Boys, kids, and on your girls.
Gonna get the close, the hat trick. Thank you.
Congratulations.
The main on that. Probably. Like, but
Thank you.
I think it does go without, absolutely. I think it definitely goes without saying that the work that you guys do certainly helps us tremendously. So really, we do thank you for everything that you do. So next up on the agenda is our public hearings, which is item A, annexation petition 2023-1 Welch Ichiban for Fleming Road. It looks like there's been a recommendation to continue that to the May 11th, 2023 board meeting. Was there any items of discussion leading up to that or?
No, there's a scheduling issue.
Okay.
So if we did it on the May 11th, we'll have all the i's dotted and the t's crossed.
All right, sounds good. So we'll continue that to May 11th, 2023. Emily, for your records, do you want that under a motion or we go just continue?
Motion to continue.
Motion
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is continued to May 11th, 2023. Next up, we have citizens' comments. I do see that one person signed up, but I think they wanted to wait to see if there's any questions that. Okay. Totally fair enough, totally fair enough. So I will certainly keep that in mind. Do we have any other citizens in attendance that would like to make a citizens comment? All right. Moving along into the consent agenda. The action requested is to approve consent agenda as submitted.
move to approve consent agenda.
Second. All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Old business, continued discussion on resolution approving public sponsorship of the Burnt Barrel and Journey Food Pantry special event. So, you know, the action requested here is to adopt the resolution as presented. And I think there were some questions that we had from the last meeting that just wanted to get a clearer picture on, get a better understanding of. So do we know how many trucks we're gonna be expecting?
So, the initial sign up was 20.
Okay,
Now that I'm looking to move it to, I spoke with Youngsville. I need to get up, I'm so sorry.
if you, I mean, that's, I can look, I like to keep it casual, but you know, hey, that's, if you wanna,
Amy, I own her. So the original, sign up was about 20 trucks. I spoke to Winslow about moving it off of the roads because it sounded like that might be, a little bit of an issue for some folks. And they were happy to acquiesce that request, so I've kind of pulled it back a little bit, so it's a little bit under 20 at this point. But I feel that that would be, a sizable number to fit adequately into, the Winslow space and keep things central to downtown.
okay. Yeah, I think the only concern that I truly have with it was the closure of
West.
Southeast Railroad. Just because of the parking that it may have potentially blocked in. And obviously, I mean, we had some citizens that voiced some concerns as well. So are you saying that we're no longer at issue with shutting down either of the railroad streets in lieu of moving it to? Okay,
I believe I can move the whole thing a little bit smaller, but still robust enough to be a downtown event
okay.
into the Winslow lot.
We would still want to adopt the resolution aside from the road closures that would allow for the deployment of town forces and resources for the event.
I'm totally on board with that. That sounds good to me. Any of the commissioners have any questions, comments, concerns?
Thanks for being flexible.
No, I mean, listen, it's a great idea. It's bringing food trucks in, it's bringing people into town that maybe have never been here. And this is their first time coming and being able to check things out. So, I mean, I'm always supportive of this type of thing. I just had the concerns about only that one road. But it sounds like that's been addressed. So, if there's no other questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners, I'll entertain a motion, to approve as, amended. Is
Sure.
direct?
Yeah.
Does that sound good to you, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay,
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
all right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. New business, presentation and discussion of fiscal year in 2024 proposed budget.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I presented you with the draft budget. There's just a couple of highlights. It continues the fleet renewal program for the police department. There's a pole barn in there for the public works department. Our clerk has been asking for new financial software since before I started working with the town of Youngsville. So that's funded in there. And then of note, there's $275,000 worth of road repaving work. As y'all are aware, we get about $65,000 from the gas tax. So it just shows the gap between what we're spending to maintain the roads and what the state is reimbursing us for that maintenance. If you're curious, there's a 4% COLA and the merit varies from 1% to 4% depending on the staff member.
Okay. So with that being said, there was no adjustment in the actual tax rate, correct? That's keeping it as is?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. The tax rate is recommended to be maintained at the current rate of 65.5.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in a position now to look into. Exactly, yes.
Come on,
Carrie, can you keep your laptop under control, man? We're trying to have adult conversations here, buddy. Wow. Sorry. No, it's one of the things we ended up raising taxes many years ago because we knew there were a lot of things that we had to accomplish, right? And part of that was the designation of having an upgraded town hall, police station in this meeting room and some of the other things. And I feel like we're in a position now where if we can maybe go back in and kind of look and see if we can cut the tax rate a little bit, I think it will go a long way one for us, right? Because everybody at this table pays taxes. But for the citizens as a whole. So is there a way to kind of look at it, reducing it, maybe get some numbers together for a half cent, for a cent, cent and a half? I mean, I don't know what that break even level gets down to, but I mean, can we take a look at that and propose something?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll have a draft one sent out to the board. It'll probably be in your new packet for next month, and then it can be discussed at the May meeting if that works for you.
Okay, no, that sounds good. Thank you for that. All right, so the action requested is to set public hearing on proposed budget for May 11th, 2023. That public hearing.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item B, the rural transportation grant. Mr. Page sorry, Ms. Katie Barber Jones.
Thank you all for considering this. Representative Winslow brought to our attention a few weeks back that there is some coronavirus American Rescue Plan Act funding available to Franklin County communities, as well as other counties in our tier through this rural transformation grant program. There are a number of options for what you can apply for, but a lot of the grants that have been funded in the first two rounds are infrastructure projects that are directed toward, increasing people getting outside, like bike and pedestrian paths, revitalizing downtown by connecting downtown to different other parts of the community. And Youngsville has been looking for a long time at doing a protected pedestrian crosswalk between Luddy Park and the elementary school, and a multi-use path down to downtown to connect that Luddy Park library area with downtown in a bikeable, walkable way. Because the town approved that as part of its bike pedestrian plan in 2015, and that's been under discussion. Nathan had gone to our town engineer and actually had them start mocking up plans for what that would look like and getting us estimates. So we have it's not quite shovel ready, but an application ready project for us to go for this rural transformation grant funding. There's a maximum award of $950,000. The town does not need to provide a local match. That we can fund 100% of the project with that grant if we want to, if we're approved for it. However, the budget that we put into the packet for what we're estimating this whole project would cost would probably exceed the grant by at least $30,000, possibly more, just because it is a large project and we'd be spending it over a couple of years. So we tried to account for as many contingencies as possible based on the information we have right now. But we think that it's a competitive project for applying for the grant. If the town is awarded an amount that is less than what we would like, we can always decline it and look for another way to do this project later on. But we're asking for you all to adopt this resolution to support the town's application.
Sounds good. Any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm fully supportive of it, and been trying to get this and the Luddy Park Trails projects funded for a long time. So it's nice that we have an opportunity to move forward with something. So hopefully it scores high enough and we get it.
Agreed. All right. So the action requested here is to approve the resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All right, first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries as well. And item C, penalty changes to the heavy truck ordinances and traffic ordinances. Generally, chapter 5. I'll turn it back over to our esteemed legal counsel again.
So in collaboration with Chief Whitley and Mr. Page, we put our heads together on the issue that we've been having of heavy trucks on local streets and the damage and safety risks that they've been posing, trying to figure out what we can do to help enforce those more aggressively. One issue that came up is that the General Assembly has been adjusting the town's authority to enforce its traffic ordinances. And it recently changed the statute for that to require that any traffic ordinance have a penalty of no more than an infraction and a $50 fine. So that is a recommended change. That's part of the amendment in front of you for all of the traffic ordinances. At the same time, we've gone ahead and recommended adding a civil penalty for the owner of the truck to the heavy truck ordinance. And that will, we believe, help enforce this by bringing the attention to employers that their employees are doing this, and having companies enforce this through disciplinary action with their drivers and company policy, hopefully, in addition to Youngsville Police being able to issue a citation for the first arrest in this case. So those are the changes that we've proposed for the ordinance. If you all, we proposed a $200 civil penalty for the first offense for the owners and $500 for subsequent offenses. Of course, if you all feel that some other amounts would be more appropriate, that is just an initial proposal. Also, just to let you know, a reminder about adopting an amendment to the code is that if you want, the board can adopt an amendment to the code in the standing meeting where it's introduced, so long as at least 4 of 5 commissioners vote for it. And then,
So in other words, we wouldn't have to have a second reading. We could just go forward with the.
yes.
And the only other piece I think that's important, guys, as your staff report says that Katie put together, any fines or penalties like this that are collected by the police department would go to the school system of Franklin County. They don't stay here. They're not, we don't get extra money in our budget by pulling over more of those trucks. The school gets more money if we enforce these regulations.
Anything else?
I don't have anything further. If you all have questions, I'm happy to.
Well, I mean, it's obviously we need to do something. I mean, looking back at the police patrol operations, you had 2 days in February for 2 4-hour shifts, and we had 41 offenses, correct?
Yes.
And 23 to 25 of them are commercial vehicles. That's, you know, what is that? I don't know. That's what is that, 3 an hour? 4 an hour? So obviously, and I'm sure that was probably one of my streets I live on and probably another street that they cut around on, right? Correct? Okay. So I mean, it's an obvious problem. I'm going through the process right now, putting my mailbox up for the 3rd time. I'm really getting upset about it. It's a problem. So.
And I think to that point, the only way, because we've got the signs up that say no, no trucks allowed, but clearly we haven't had enough teeth to really go after it. And a $200 or $250 and a $500, I feel like that gives it a little bit more teeth, because when they get tickets, doesn't that really impact their insurance for the owner of the, I mean, am I looking at that the wrong way?
Yeah, any violation of traffic law is reported to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, so that affects their safety rating. Also, a driver who is convicted of a traffic violation who has a CDL will accumulate points on their CDL and could eventually lose their license.
That to me gives it a little bit more teeth. I like it. A lot of times the only way for people to wake up is when they are hit with a substantial and significant fine, and I'm totally in favor of it. So again, the action, well, before I call vote, any additional questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners?
My question is, will we enforce it?
Under the current regulations, we have to pull people over and give them a warning, record their name, and find that same person doing something again in order to begin any sort of penalties. And so most of the truck drivers that we pulled over have really laughed at us and told us that if we're not part of the state, the
They don't take any of the warnings seriously because they know it's not gonna affect them or their license in any way. So any kind of moving violations like Don Attorney stated earlier, that's what they're scared of.
Okay.
It affects their earnings.
And under this regulation, the first time we pull them over, they and their company will receive some sort of ticket.
Okay,
So I think the question at hand, right, is the enforcement, and Joe kind of Commissioner Johnson kind of spoke to it a little bit. You know, they have been out, they are aware of it. They can't always be in one specific area all the time, but a police presence in a certain area does act like a deterrent. When they get pulled over now and they get a hefty ticket, that's going to be even more of a deterrent. I feel like that's a community that talks a lot. And they're like, don't go down this road or don't go through Youngsville, don't do whatever. And that word will get out. So hopefully it's something, obviously we're going to patrol it, but hopefully it's not something that we have to patrol for the next 6 months as Main Street is completed and things of that nature. So
I think it's a great idea. Actually, did Jason show you the picture yesterday? Jason got stuck on Railroad Street for 25 minutes because I think it was an Estes truck was trying to turn down Franklin off of Railroad and couldn't make the turn and it ran into the trees and so,
oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's an issue.
Commissioner Wiggins, another component to the enforcement is that if the owners don't pay the civil penalties, we will take them to small claims court and get the civil penalty out of them plus costs and attorney's fees.
well, that was, my main question is, are we going to enforce this? Or are we just passing a rule?
So our officers are out there and issuing what they can now, but the individuals that are driving the commercial vehicles, they honestly don't care because we don't have enough teeth to make them. And so even though we issued 40-something citations that day, there was just as much traffic the next day on the road. We will be out there, we will be issuing these, and we will track it so that we have the accountability to the board of how many of these commercial vehicles we've given these sorts of things to on a monthly basis, because the current volume of heavy truck traffic on Winston is unacceptable.
Well, I agree. I just want to make sure we're going to put the officers out there
Yes, sir.
and enforce the rules.
Absolutely.
Because Winston isn't the only street.
Right. It's just the most egregious.
Well, couple of them.
Yes, sir.
Including 1A. And it's not as bad, I know, as Winston, because I see it every morning and in the afternoons, but
1A doesn't permit commercial traffic, so this wouldn't apply to 1A. But it would certainly apply to individuals that are engaged in illegal activity on 1A.
Yes.
Like
There's
blocking
plenty
the
of
intersection. Yes, sir.
I had one pass me in a turn lane at an accelerated speed because he didn't like the fact that I was doing the speed limit.
Probably in the school zone.
Yes, this week, as a matter of fact. I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure it's going to have some teeth and get done.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think approving this certainly does that. And I feel pretty confident that next month when we're going through these numbers again, we'll see some action items have been addressed.
We have a good recording system. States provided us with use citation systems.
Okay,
And these citations do go in front of the judge and they have to speak.
good deal.
They have court dates. Another citation is just a charge as a town ordinance.
And Chief Whitley and I have reached out to the DA's office to let them know that these are going to be coming in and ask that they not just start dismissing them.
Outstanding. All right. Any additional questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, just a question. I know in the past we had an issue because there was some issue with having to weigh the vehicles. That has no bearing on this, right? Okay.
See that.
Gives us another infraction for the same purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
But if we get them off the street, we won't have to weigh them.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right, hearing no other questions, comments, concerns, the action requested here is to adopt proposed amendments to chapter 5 of Code of Ordinances.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
Are we going with the 200 or the 250 that you stated?
I think I misquoted. I
Okay.
think it was 200. I said 250.
Yeah, okay. I was just
I think I was getting in between 200 and 500 and
No, you're fine.
250. It was like, you know. So,
Yep.
any additional discussion?
Nope.
All right, we got a first and a second, no other discussion, so I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Item 9A, my report, we've been pretty busy past couple weeks. Commissioner Red and I worked together on a litter sweep, on A1 here. Commissioners, Percy and Bream helped us out with, in our stead. I don't know how we drew the short end of the stick on that. They went to a grand opening. We were cleaning up litter. But we were able to stop by and it's a beautiful little shop. So I wish them a ton of success there. Got to sneak over to the Easter egg hunt and police department and Parks and Rec and everyone was very well represented and looked like everyone had a blast. Sesquicentennial meetings tomorrow morning at 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, last week got a chance to, Miss Katie Barber Jones and I got a chance to go to the legislature and hang out with, Representative Matt Winslow for a while and he kind of showed us around and, we were there in, you know, in favor of them approving and moving forward with the charter. Same charter we've been operating on since March of 1875. Hopefully that'll get pushed through here pretty soon and we can actually come into the 21st century. I was actually shooting for the 20th century, but you know, I'd be good if we can hit the target there too. So I think that is it for me. I'll turn things over to Commissioner Red.
I have nothing.
All right, Commissioner Percy.
Chamber of Commerce is holding their monthly mingle next Wednesday, 4 to 6 at Crossing Main. Youngsville businesses did a great job showing up at the last one, it was February. And then I think it was February. They had about 100 and some people show up to the meeting. I don't think they've ever seen any number even close to that. Last month they had theirs was out of town. They had 20 people show up. I'd like for them when they come back to Youngsville next week to have another 100 people show up and show that the business is here.
What's the date?
Next Wednesday, the 19th.
Correct.
Okay, 4 to 6
It's across the Main.
across the Main. I do math in my head there to figure out next Wednesday.
People like to congregate at the intersection of awesomeness. Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Person?
No, that'll be it.
All right, Commissioner Brain.
So I will not be able to come to the main because we have a Campo meeting at the same time next Wednesday. And this will be the first one held at their new office at 1 Fenton, trying to make sure I got that right, and Cary, which is a really cool place. It's a mixture of businesses, retails, and residential. But we're going back in person now. This will be the first all in-person meeting we've had since COVID. You can still not participate. You can watch remotely, but you can't participate. So I'll be traveling to Cary now for the meetings, and Commissioner Red is still helping me fill in when I can't make it. And speaking of Campo, Nathan and town staff have been working with Campo to make sure that we get our new alignment for the proposed bypass into the MTP. based off of some changes that we've made recently with the new developments. Want to make sure that gets in. So that's in process. Nathan may have more on that in his report. Mayor Flowers mentioned a couple of the new businesses. We've also got the new candle company that opened up downtown. It's where Weston Main was. The Youngsville Gun Club is open now for business. I have a gift card I need to go use there. Home Slice is opening up soon, so we're excited about that. It looks great out there. Got a sneak peek out of that last week. Am I missing any other ones? Marion Company's expanded to theirs.
June for the Hills Cross, that North Cross Street Station.
Yep.
They told us, they said June the other day, beginning of June.
That's right, because it's not going to be Hell Yeah Kitchen, right? It's just,
Yeah, it's gonna be North Cross Street Station.
Yeah.
all right. So lots of good stuff going on, so excited for it. And that's all I have.
All right. Commissioner Johnson?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. And Commissioner Wiggins?
Good.
All right. Ms. Katie Barber Jones, do you have any additional updates for us?
Just to update you on the sort of status of what's left in the charter that recommended to the General Assembly. There were some changes as it went through committee. And so some of the miscellaneous provisions at the end have been removed because Legislative Council recommended against it. And the proposed provision regarding remote voting and quorum was also removed because it's very popular and a lot of different communities are asking for it and everyone's request is slightly different. So the local government committee believes that it's more appropriate to address that through a change to the general statutes that applies to everyone. And Representative Winslow is actually going to take the lead on getting that introduced into a bill that's currently pending. So we lost some stuff, but we are moving forward through committees. If we get through finance and rules next week, we'll be well set to go to the Senate before the crossover deadline of May 7th.
Outstanding. All right. Anything else? Nothing else? Okay. All right. We'll move along into staff updates. Mr. Page, I know you're kind of chomping at the bit. And luckily, Commissioner Breen didn't steal too much of your thunder, so
Well,
turn it over to you.
he had three of the four that I written down. So the Main Street Improvement Project, I have been told that the barrels and cones should be mostly off and that the work on Main Street ought to be completed this month. The final lift of asphalt will come after they complete the widening that's happening at the intersection of Cross and Main. So Ronnie White's will be significantly impacted for the next few weeks. But we're still expecting them to be finished with the whole project in early summer. And that'll be the final lift of asphalt through and they'll be gone. And we won't have traffic cones downtown for a couple of weeks. And then they're going to start the 5 Points intersection with an NCDOT project. So we'll have some more impact over on this side. But they're going to, amongst other things, install that left turn lane for the southbound 1A, which will hopefully significantly improve quality of life for drivers heading south on 1A. The other piece that I had was with regards to the MTP update, and to piggyback on what we've all said here tonight, we are very lucky to have Representative Winslow work with us. He spent a half hour on a phone call today with Brandon Jones, the NCDOT division engineer. That call was scheduled to have myself, Mayor Flowers, the NCDOT division engineer, and Representative Winslow to talk about ways that we could help make this bypass get funded as quickly as possible, have it happen as quickly as possible, get built as quickly as possible. And NCDOT came up with some creative solutions that I hadn't even considered that will likely make that happen faster. And Representative Winslow requested that Mr. Jones write a letter of support that we can help display and share with Campo just to show how far along we are with this project. It's not a line on a map anymore. It's a road that portions of it are getting built by developers, portions of it by grants, and portions of it are being designed by the town. So we're further along in that than Campo might understand if they just look at it from a superficial level. So I just wanted to thank you all for working with me and just express some great gratitude for the quality of work that Mayor Flowers and Representative Winslow are putting in there.
Thank you for that. Anything else for right now? It's for me. All right. Madam Clerk or clerks, any updates from you guys? Okay. Yeah, I think I speak for everybody when I say, we'll be very happy when construction on Main Street is done. It's been a lengthy, process. It was a lengthy process just getting it started. And having a time frame of all the work from underground and all the items that were uncovered, knowing that it was going to be a 9-month project, and I feel like we're pretty much on pace to have all that done. So, you can't cook an omelet without cracking some eggs. And so, yeah, while it's been a little bit of a mess and it's been a little unfortunate, I think when it's all said and done, people are going to be extremely happy with the way you can travel the road and the way it looks. And I'm just wondering if all the folks that have called us the worst names on earth, I'm just waiting for them to line up and give their apologies. And I'm just going to take bets on how many people. So anyhow,
The bet line's at 0.5.
the over under on that is -50. So, there is.
I'll be first in line.
Understood.
It has been a pain.
Yeah, well, we got to get through it though. So you can't, I mean, yeah. No need to go into closed session. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned as of 7:42.